According to the Wild Animal Health Fund, most zoos today have become ex situ breeding centers for several species that would otherwise be greatly threatened with extinction in the wild. This makes zoos vital to the conservation of zoo animals and wildlife. Accredited zoos are an essential part of providing research funding for conservation and need to be supported. Today I'm going to talk about the need for zoos to preserve biodiversity, educate, and support scientific research, ways you can help conservation by supporting the AZA accredited zoos near you, and how supporting zoos conservation efforts will preserve and protect wildlife for future generations. On the first slide, I'm going to talk about the needs for zoos. According to the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, AZA accredited zoos and aquariums meet the highest standards in animal care and welfare and provide a fun, safe, and educational family experience. In addition, they dedicate millions of dollars annually to support scientific research, conservation, and education programs. Zoos use breeding programs that are threatened and endangered, which preserves genetics and species. Zoos educate the public about biodiversity and ways our lives influence biodiversity. The ability to go and see these animals that are at risk of extinction makes people fall in love with them, makes people want to help them, and supports efforts to try and save them. Zoos produce helpful scientific research, and according to Procon.com, in 2017, 173 accredited U.S. zoos spent $25 million on research, studied 485 species and subspecies of animals, worked on 1,280 research projects, and published 170 research manuscripts. Ecology research provided by accredited zoos is vital for sustainability and biodiversity. Ex situ conservation is practiced within zoos, and it is the attempt to protect rare and endangered species within a controlled and protected environment that doesn't have the same pressures on their natural habitat. On the second slide, I'm going to talk about how you can help support zoos conservation efforts. You can help conservation by supporting the AZA accredited zoos near you. Each zoos, a part of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, spend $230 million towards the long-term survival of different species. By visiting an accredited zoo, you will be supporting conservation efforts. According to the biologist, for species whose survival in the wild looks in doubt, zoos often set up insurance populations, captive groups of animals that could, in worst-case scenario, assist in reintroduction to the wild should the original population become extinct. You can donate directly to the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, where conservation is a priority. Educating yourself on biodiversity is important and is a part of zoos conservation efforts geared toward the public. According to the Canadian Wildlife Federation blog, biodiversity is important because it creates a life support system for Earth. Some species create oxygen, others clean air and water, pollinate plants, manage waste, and provide other ecosystem services. Advocate for AZA accredited facilities with legislators. Contact your legislators to promote continuing education of the importance of zoos and aquariums conservation efforts. On the next slide, I'm going to tell you why you should support zoos. Supporting zoos conservation efforts preserves and protects wildlife for future generations. According to National Geographic, Earth's natural resources include air, minerals, plants, soil, water, and wildlife. Conservation is the care and protection of the resources so that they can persist for future generations. By not supporting zoos in their conservation attempts, you're putting biodiversity in the future of generations to come at risk. Not supporting AZA accredited zoos efforts would cause a huge dip in biodiversity and conservation and could result in the extinction of all species. Decreased biodiversity increases vulnerability of food supply, safe water, and uncertainty for humanity. These are the risks of not supporting accredited zoos, and on the last slide, I will talk about how you can take action. AZA accredited zoos are a vital part of conservation as they financially support research and support biodiversity. Today I have talked about the need for zoos to preserve biodiversity, educate, and support scientific research, ways you can help conservation by supporting the AZA accredited zoos near you, and how supporting zoos' conservation efforts will preserve and protect wildlife for future generations. Supporting your local AZA accredited zoo is easy, fun, educational, and supports biodiversity. So take action and support your local zoo.